A Short Hike is a game that had been on my radar for quite some time, but I'd never gotten around to playing it. I decided today, however, that now was finally the time. Also, this game has a very short completion time, and I figured I could probably do it in one sitting. Jumping into the game, I really wasn't sure what to expect, as until now, I had only ever seen a few quick clips here and there. The game appeared to be both relaxing and very cute. I soon learned that you control Claire. Claire is a bird, which, while being cute, is also very integral to the gameplay, as I would soon find out. I began by riding in the car with my aunt, and sleeping while she talked. Good to see that this game has a good understanding of typical family road trips. We soon arrived at Hawk Peak Provincial Park, where Claire's aunt works as a ranger. I spoke with my aunt after getting settled in and complained that I hadn't received a call that I was waiting on. Aunt May then informed me that there was no cell reception in most of the park, and that the only place where you can get a signal is at the top of Hawk Peak. Yes, the main objective of this game is to get cell reception. Now, this is a task that I am an expert at. I then set forth to begin my trek up the mountain, and encountered some of the other animals that were currently in the park. They taught me some of the basics of the game, such as how to glide, and I was also demanded to bring this one girl 15 seashells. Why? Because I gotta. I was also given a compass, which I never used once. Maybe knowing where north was could have been helpful at some point, but I honestly forgot it was even there. I then talked to some lads that were practicing their rock climbing and was invited to join their club. I accepted, but was told that I first had to acquire a golden feather. I then talked to a frog that was trying to build a sandcastle. This guy had somehow never heard of toy shovels and was trying to use a full-sized one. I traded him a smaller shovel I found so that I could have his to dig up money from certain places on the ground. I then met the park ranger who told me that they would sell me 2 of their golden feathers that they had. I purchased them with the coins I had collected and found that each additional feather I gathered allowed me to jump an additional time in the air by flapping my wings. I could also use the feathers as a stamina meter to climb walls Breath of the Wild style. I continued up the mountain, collecting more feathers through various means such as completing favors and just finding them in the world. 1 feather was gained after I gave the 15 shells to the gal near the start, and she made me a necklace to give to my aunt. This was sweet and all, but still doesn't excuse the rudeness. I also found a bucket that when filled with water would allow me to grow the flower buds that were found all over the map. These flowers were very bouncy and helped me to traverse the world a little faster. I would also have to grow every single flower on the island for an achievement later. I could already tell that this one was going to be a pain. I also was given a fishing pole by this nice lad on a bridge. I would have to collect and trade every species of fish for another achievement, so I was glad to be able to start doing this early. I finally got my first achievement for collecting 10 golden feathers after purchasing one from this college student, yes, you heard that right, at the base of a large cliff. He was selling them for far more than the park ranger, and had bought up the last of their supply. This guy clearly took inspiration from the PS5's launch. He claimed that he was only doing this to pay off his college tuition though, so you know what, I feel you, dude. I then progressed up the mountain and discovered that the further up the mountain I went, the colder it got, which would prevent my feathers from regenerating. The only way to refill them was to warm up next to a fire or sit in a hot spring. I really enjoyed this new challenge as it really made you consider every single time you used stamina. I eventually reached the top of the mountain and received my long-awaited phone call. Turns out it was a call from my mom telling me about how her recent surgery had gone. I was not expecting this, but it certainly made me like Claire a lot more now that I realized she wasn't just trying to watch TikToks. I then was witness to the Hawk Peak updraft and tried to glide down the mountain. Unfortunately, I had yet to learn that if you don't press any direction while gliding, you just nosedive, and I plummeted all the way into the far corner of the ocean, resulting in a very awkward swim of shame back to land. After returning to the island, I soon got another achievement after putting out my 4th campfire. I felt pretty bad for doing this, but these guys all have fur anyways, so they should already be warm. I then purchased a hat from the park ranger to get an achievement for acquiring the commemorative hat. But the achievement didn't actually pop. I figured the game might have bugged, but upon searching up a guide, I found that I actually needed a completely different hat that I had no way of knowing I could even acquire. Why would you offer one single hat for sale if it wasn't the one I was supposed to get? To get the real hat, I returned to a beach where I had previously earned a feather for getting a score of 10 in beach stickball. Beach stickball is like volleyball, except instead of hitting the ball with your hands, you have to hit the ball with a stick. And it's cooperative, so you can't lose. Also, Julie, the bird up in the chair, would be keeping track of how many times the ball was hit back and forth without touching the ground. I learned that she was very lenient on what counts as touching the ground, so it was very easy to hit the required score of 30 to earn myself the hat and achievement. I still have no idea how I would have known to go for 30 if I didn't check the guide. After this, I decided to get the achievement Not a Scratch for completing the boat race in under 45 seconds. I had found the boat earlier, but had no idea how to actually start the race. Turns out, I had to talk to this kid and ask them to come ride in the boat with me. They then challenged me to a time trial, but near the end of the first attempt, we went off a ramp and broke the boat. I told the kid that they were stupid for making me use a ramp, and the kid said that they were afraid of their dad knowing about their stupidity. So I took pity on them and brought the boat to this other guy who had a bigger boat and asked him to fix it. Conveniently, this bigger boat guy knew every boat-related word in existence and was soon able to make my boat as good as new. I then was able to retry the time trial. Thankfully, this time it was ramp-free, and I was able to get it done in under 45 seconds after a couple of tries. The hardest part of this was avoiding hitting any of the obstacles, as each hit would add an additional 10 seconds onto my time. After this, I set about winning all 3 of the parkour races. I had already found and completed 2 of these and just had to do 1 more. It was honestly harder to find the race than it was to win it. I then climbed back up the mountain as I needed someone to take my picture at the top. I found a friendly fox near the top who couldn't quite finish the climb because the bridge had broken and he couldn't fly. I lent him a few of my feathers and he was able to fly over the gap. I really don't understand how this works, but he gave me the feathers back after this, so I guess I'll let it go. He then also offered to take my picture and I earned the achievement Photo Friends. The next achievement I earned was my favorite of this game. It was called Crispy, and to earn it, I simply needed to eat a piece of toast. In order to get this toast, I had to first read the sign by the park ranger that informed me that at 5 o'clock the station would offer free toast and berries. I then had to actually wait in real life until it was 5 o'clock, and then ask the ranger about the toast. They told me that they were tragically all out of berries, but they were happy to still give me a piece of toast. I crunched away and got the achievement. By this point, I was about 2 hours into the game and only had 4 achievements left to get. To get these, I had to trade all of the fish species in to the trader, get all of the feathers on the island, and grow every single plant. I decided to tackle the feathers first since I knew I was close to finishing them. There were 22 feathers in total, 20 gold, and 2 silver, which increased how high each jump takes you, and most of these were pretty easy to find. One of the 2 silver feathers, however, was giving me trouble. This guy here had lost his watch and was practically begging me to get it back for him, but he had no idea where it could be, of course. I searched and searched for this watch, but I could never find it. Talking to the other animals didn't seem to be any help either. After consulting the guide, I was horrified to learn that in order to get the watch back, I had to go back to the broke college student and completely pay off his tuition for him. I'm already paying back tuition in real life, so why in the world would I want to A, pay it off in a game, and B, pay for someone who isn't even me? Regardless, I would need a whopping 400 coins if I wanted to get this watch. I had just over 300 currently, and was really regretting purchasing the 100 coin hat from the ranger station earlier. Thankfully, I was able to sell some fish and play a bit of Animal Crossing to get the last of the money that I needed. I told the guy that I would pay off his debt, and in exchange he gave me the watch that I had spent such a long time searching for. After returning the watch to the camper, I finally got the last feather that I needed. Due to my recent fishing to pay off the debt, I was fairly close to getting all of the fish species. After searching up where the last few were located, I was able to get this achievement as well. Some of these locations were pretty mean if I'm honest, and would have taken me ages to find naturally, especially since it is entirely possible that you just wouldn't happen to get the right fish at a certain spot and might accidentally move on too early. I then switched to finishing up the plants. I searched for a while and found a few that I had missed earlier, including one that was literally just a few feet from where I started the game. I have no idea how I hadn't noticed this one sooner. I then needed to consult the guide once again and found a map that showed all of the locations. Even with this, it still took me a while to get the last plant, as the one I was missing happened to be one of the very last places that I checked. Go figure. These 3 achievements took about 2 hours to complete in total, which doubled my playtime to nearly 4 hours. All I had left to do now was to return to my aunt's place and take a well-earned nap. Overall, I found a short hike to be a lovely experience. Through talking to all of the animals and exploring the island, it really felt like I was on a peaceful nature excursion. When I wasn't crashing a speedboat anyway. The collectathon in the latter half of the game felt a little tedious compared to the first half, but I still think that it was worth doing, as it at least got me to explore every little bit of the gorgeous and charming world that the developers had created. If you need a game to unwind after a rough week, I would highly recommend a short hike. Let me know of any suggestions for future games I should complete down below, and I'll see you next time.